Chris.
Yeah. We watched a little movie. This isn't right.
Ian.
Chris.
Tonight we checked out that new movie.
Yes.
Just came out. What? I think the first.
Yeah.
Exclusive. I think this was meant to go to theaters because it was $20 to rent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shadow in the Cloud.
Singular.
Just one.
Only one cloud. That was my biggest problem with this whole movie. One cloud. What? You didn't have enough budget for multiple clouds? What are we doing here?
I'm okay with one cloud.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
But this
Single cloud movies are some of my favorite movies.
this movie is very interesting. I would love to know the backstory to it. Mm-hmm. It does feel like perhaps it is a COVID movie.
Yes. Especially that first half.
First half?
Yeah.
The first 7/8, maybe.
I don't know.
3/4 away. It was.
I'd say about half was very clearly like this feels like a COVID movie. But then the cast starts interacting more, and
well, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I skipped into it maybe 10, 15 seconds, and
like you do all the time.
Well, I was I arrived at the trailer too late or whatever. You ever click in and you're like, oh shit,
I'm not following, but continue.
Right, you click too many times on the internet, it happens. No, but when I started watching it, it was just her talking the whole time.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, this is a supernatural thing. And then at the very end of the trailer, they did show another character because it was that weird to me because there was no other people on screen. Yeah,
for a trailer, for a movie where you basically have one movie star, though, it's not that odd.
Well, no, it's not. It wasn't. Yeah. It was just weird because you never saw another person. It was all just voices. And that's kind of the weird thing about this movie.
Yeah.
Where for a while it's okay, where she's talking to people over the intercom system or whatever. But then there's this whole monologue that goes on for 3 minutes, and you start to it's supposed to be emotional, but she's never interacted with another person.
So we should say Chloe Grace Moritz's character.
Yeah, we didn't even. Yeah.
Maud, help me out. Maud Garrett. She boards this ship kind of last second, emergency orders. She's got her MacGuffin strapped to her side, and she's got to protect. Yeah. Nobody can know what it is. It's super secret. You got to let me on. They end up stashing her in a turret, gun turret. So she's sitting down below the ship, and she gets trapped in there, or is in there / trapped in there for about first half of the movie. And we never cut to the rest of the crew during that time. No. It is all the camera work is inside that turret. It's a little claustrophobic. That's the part we're talking about feels a bit like a COVID movie because there are other characters. We're hearing their voices through her radio, but we never see them. We saw them at the beginning, and we do come back around to seeing them later. But for a good 40 minutes, we're in that turret.
Yeah.
There's a way to make that where it's really claustrophobic, and there's a way to make that where it's really boring. Where did it land for you?
I wouldn't say it was really boring.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really work for me as the claustrophobic thing I think that they were trying to go for.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes on for too long.
I'd agree it probably went on for too long. I think Chloe Grace Moritz is a strong enough actress that she pulled it off as well as she could.
Yeah. She's a good actress, but the problem I was trying to describe is when you're watching her act for a while, you're into it, but it goes on for so long that it starts to feel a little awkward, and you start to think about just her acting instead of
the awkwardness. I'd cue in on because there is definitely a bit of a sexist thing going on. I mean, this is World War II. Bunch of dudes who've been trapped on an airplane and haven't seen a dame in God knows how long. And they're, what? There can't be a woman on the ship, and I get that. You want a little bit of that. You want her to have to overcome a little bit. That's an interesting story arc. But boy, that entire 40 minutes is more of that. It's more sexism. It's more talking down to. It's more talking about her in a sexual way. And it just goes, it really hits that sexism on the head again and again and again and again. And I get that it would exist, and to just pretend it wouldn't have would have been an even weirder choice.
It wasn't. It was meant to be effective.
Yeah.
To the viewer, because I think this is kind of basically a woman empowerment kind of movie.
Yeah.
And a macho extreme version of that, in the same way of an Arnold Commando, where he's this macho man kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was lightly brushing on those themes. You know what I mean? Is my point.
Yeah. And this movie gets created in a bit of a weird space with that, because the first draft of this was written by one Max Landis, who then, during the process of trying to get this movie made, had all his sexual harassment claims filed against him. So I understand this movie got heavily rewritten multiple times, primarily by the director, Roseanne Lang. Heavily rewritten. I know both she and Chloe both had come out and said, hey, he wasn't involved in at the time of production. Like, this doesn't even resemble his work. Like, they did a lot to try and distance themselves from his work. They'll certainly have to credit him since he did write the original draft.
I mean, that's kind of...
But, like, that also has to be in the back of their minds. Like, we're making this, you know, at least somewhat feminist piece.
Yeah.
But based on the work of a man who is in all likelihood a piece of shit. Allegedly.
It's kind of like a big FU to that in a way.
In a way.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
But you can't just not address that too, you know?
Sure, I get it. But is the script that like golden that they couldn't just say never mind? I mean, I guess the movie was already so far into production or something.
I hear you.
I don't know.
I don't know why the movie had to have been made.
Like it's a fun idea. Mm-hmm. It's not exactly original. Like the first thing you immediately think of Gremlin on Plane is that Twilight Zone thing with William Shatner.
Sure.
Right.
And this is a lot more developed to it than that.
But it feels like that's the like where this idea started was that thing. Oh, what if we put in World War II and we had this little dramatic story?
But that idea existed before that too, though.
Yeah, I'm sure. But
like,
I mean, that's
Gremlins were a thing, so you know, airmen talked about during World War II.
Gremlins are a thing. God damn it. Anyways, did this like whole dramatic family thing work for you? Like her whole. Oh, wait. Are we gonna do spoilers?
We gotta say spoilers.
We gotta say spoilers.
We gotta say spoilers. Because obviously she has her satchel, and we don't know what's in it at the start. Way into spoilers, we do find out what's in it. We do find out she's not exactly who she says she is. Very much who she says she is in some ways, but not in others. There's some family drama going on. Spoilers. I can't stress enough spoilers.
There's a motherfucking baby in this box. And this box is just wrestling around the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah, there's times when it's dangling from the plane, and but then she's climbing underneath the plane to get to it, and she wrestles it around her neck, and she's climbing, and thing's flying around.
There's
it's
a part
going vertical.
Where the baby's like gonna fall, and she just kicks it over.
This baby's been exposed to explosions and gunfire and everything. But there's padding in that satchel, let me tell you.
Every time you open up that satchel, that goddamn baby.
Yeah, there's a nice little moment where she just kind of sweetly looks at the baby, and the baby sweetly looks back up at her. Meanwhile, we're going how many hours of this plate where this thing isn't being changed, isn't being fed,
none of that.
But don't worry. They gave it a sedative before they got on the plane.
Okay, here's the thing. That stuff, while incredibly stupid,
there's a lot about this movie that doesn't make a lot of sense, though.
No, but this is the thing. That first, I would say 3/4, you'd say half. I think it's probably a happy medium in between there. Is just this like mystery kind of thrillery thing with
like who is she? Is she who she says
she's down in here, and it's all isolating, and it's like, oh, this could go actually anywhere.
Is the package safe? Why are you guys?
And it's like, is this surreal? Like, is this all in her mind? And then the movie's like, nah, fuck that. Like everything changes. Like it gets super over the top.
Once she leaves the.
Yeah, when she says her like titular line, like "Get away from her, you bitch." Oh, that's the wrong movie.
But that's also not what titular means. But no, she's like, you don't know the things I would do to, I forget the exact line, but yeah.
And
I would do anything to
the movie completely switches.
And it goes way over the top in terms of its action.
Yeah. And
I saw a lot of people giving negative reviews based on the physics. I'm like, I didn't come to this movie for physics.
No, at that point, that's where that movie was.
The one thing that took me out of it, perhaps because I'm a father, is how much that baby was getting wrangled around. And this leads me to my fan theory.
Okay.
But this is a prequel. The Forrest Gump.
Oh my God, that's wrong.
That baby is Forrest Gump. He's gonna grow up and go, I wish I had a box of chocolates or whatever he says.
I'm not a smart man.
Because he got his head banged around a little bit too much on a flight over the Pacific Ocean with his mother.
Look,
this woman gets put in a lot of compromising and difficult situations, and you have to do things you wouldn't normally do. Obviously, in the comfort of, the United States of the 2010s that we've raised our children in, we've never had to wrangle our baby from a gremlin while being shot at by Japanese heroes and hanging from the bottom of a plane. You make some choices, you know what I mean? You get stuck between a rock and a hard place, you gotta choose, and I get that.
Okay. I like that last part, where it was just over-the-top, stupid, schlocky action. It was decently budgeted enough that the effects were fun and all that kind of stuff.
I agree with that.
And I kind of like the first half in some ways, but when they're just like, why is this? It wasn't like shocking. It was just like this movie went stupid. Okay, does that undermine the initial like whole thing with her emotional thing with her family? Because now it's so dumb. I don't know.
I think the movie just ultimately ended up being a much simpler movie than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
like I thought it was going to have twists and turns and be more of a mystery, and but it was really just kind of a woman proving that she's as good as the guys and is, if anything, better, and can not only do what they do but also protect her family, and in the end, you know, have it all work out and, you know, be a strong and badass. And it mostly works, I think.
But it's okay. But she's,
cheesy, sure, but
the thing of it, it doesn't feel like she is going through this arc. You know, I don't compare her to like Ripley or whatever.
Sure.
Who like starts out
assessment.
as a very weaker individual and then goes through conflict and realizes her strength and all that stuff, becomes a strong, empowered person. But in this, we just didn't know who Chloe Grace's character was because she had so much mystery to her.
Yeah.
But she was always a badass. You know what I mean? At least that's the way it started to seem as soon as like some of the jig was up.
Some of the jig was up.
Which is fine too.
Yeah.
Like it did feel like, okay, now she's letting off the glove, now she's like kicking ass or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it's just like movie, the hero does everything. I mean, how many Arnold movies have you watched where he can do absolutely anything?
Well, yeah.
Anything the plot would ask him to do. And that's just, you know, or any Marvel or DC superhero movie where all of a sudden Superman has a new fucking power because, I don't know, it's helpful for this situation. And it's more that kind of thing than it is yes, this woman was actually trained in all of these specific skills that no one individual, regardless of gender, would know.
Yeah. So the other thing that we mentioned earlier on, and it was like a stylistic choice. There's a lot of stylistic choices in this thing that I kind of like, but it was like a Creepshow episode with like the lighting and like introducing characters and kind of music underneath.
I was expecting when we were still in that, you know, turret that I was going to stand here and tell you this should have just been a Creepshow episode.
Yeah.
Because I thought we were going to be in the thing the whole time.
Yeah.
There's going to be some twist. We'd learn something, and then the movie would be over. And I'd be like, well, that could have been a 20-minute Creepshow episode. Yeah. But then it takes an action movie turn, and I like that too. Certainly, you couldn't do what they did with this movie for a Creepshow budget.
No.
But yeah, it did feel real Creepshow that first half.
Yeah. Well, but it also was like had me thinking because I was like, this could go anywhere at this point. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's really stupid. Like and it's not good, but I kind of enjoyed some of it.
Yeah.
For some reason, like it's
same.
When it's not like just over the top schlocky action, it's kind of like this weird oddity, and it feels unnatural because of the way they chose to keep her in that thing the whole time, probably out of necessity.
Yeah, I'd agree with all that.
I don't know if you should see it.
Yeah, it's
like I don't know. It's not good, but
at the end of the day, a pretty mediocre movie. And it's fine. Enjoy it.
And we love that.
Mediocrity. That's our tagline.
That's what we strive for, at least. Haven't got there yet, though.
Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it. Shadow in the Cloud.
Every mission has its demons.
I can't wait for the sequel, Shadow in the Clouds.
I told you, the sequel's Forrest Gump.
I think you might be in trouble for that one.